the middle of the night, I woke up to find someone lying on me, their skin soft and smooth. I pushed her away a bit, but she turned and pinned me down, kissing me forcefully. What the hell? Is this for real? I kicked her away, but she drunkenly clung back to me. Pull up your pants and act like you don't know me? Wait a minute. I got up and splashed her with a cup of cold water. Are you awake? Awake. Who am I? Just a 200 a night duck. Duck? Damn you. Ding. Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. I'm a green giant who just got dumped. My ex-girlfriend Loretta Campbell, like me, came from the countryside, pursuing her acting dreams in the capital. But she was good-looking, and after just a few minor roles, a director with keen eyes noticed her and helped her land a supporting role, making her an overnight sensation. She officially debuted under Jeremy Lopez's company and won the Best Supporting Actress award for that drama. On the night she won the award, my congratulatory message and her breakup text arrived on both our phones at the same time. Then, I saw gossip news about her entering and leaving Jeremy Lopez's apartment, her boss. The first sword on shore, to slay the one you love. It was obvious. She cheated and dumped me, her childhood sweetheart. Tonight, I had planned to drown my sorrows in alcohol. But before I could drink to my heart's content, I saw a drunken beauty being eyed by someone. Two big guys were circling around her, stealing glances, like hungry wolves plotting how to devour their prey. I scratched my head and approached her with my drink, clinking glasses. I'll take you away. Someone's got their eye on you. It's fine. The beauty's eyes were glazed over. She probably thought my head was a pear. I lifted her up and supported her as we headed outside. The two burly men frowned and approached to stop me, but I dodged them skillfully. XX Hotel? Hee. I know that place well. The beauty mumbled indistinctly. The driver glanced at me through the rearview mirror. Hiss. I swiftly locked the door and closed the windows after checking in. I pinned her flailing hands down and tossed her onto the big bed. Maybe the ride was too bumpy. She threw up all over me during the journey. Just as I was in a flurry, I received a call from the landlord. Jameson, I can't rent the house to you anymore. You have 3 days to move out. Not even an explanation for the breach of contract. The landlord hurriedly hung up, as if chased by a ghost. The house was one I shared with Loretta Campbell. After she signed with the company, she moved out, claiming it was for training convenience. Now I realize, in reality, she just wanted to meet Jeremy Lopez more easily. The green grassland stretched endlessly. My head was already as green as the Hulunber grassland. The woman's commotion lasted until midnight. After cleaning up, I was too exhausted and decided to sleep. In the early morning, I woke up again to find someone lying on me, their skin soft and smooth, and it was sweltering. I pushed her away, but she turned and pinned me down, kissing me forcefully. What the hell? Is this for real? I kicked her away, but she drunkenly clung back to me. Pull up your pants and act like you don't know me? Wait a minute. I got up and splashed her with a cup of cold water. Are you awake? Awake. Who am I? Just a 200 a night duck. Duck? Damn you. The daylight was bright, and I left $200 on the nightstand, fuming as I walked out. I thought I had hit rock bottom, about to be homeless in 3 days, but little did I know something worse awaited me. While I was busy looking for a new place, I suddenly found myself kicked out of multiple extra casting groups. Even my group applications were all rejected. Then, the gig I had just secured for the next day was canceled by the artist coordinator. I was baffled and called Ms. Jacobs, who was in charge of coordination at the Film City. On the phone, Ms. Jacobs stuttered, Jameson, it's not that I don't want to help you, but the higher-ups said you're not allowed to work. If she doesn't let up on you, your acting career will be over. Don't put me in a tough spot. I'm just a worker too. I have to watch my back. At this point, what more could I not understand? Loretta Campbell was afraid I would reveal some terrible truth, so she struck first, using her connections with Jeremy Lopez to push me out of the industry. I couldn't just sit back and wait. So, the next day, After asking a friend to help me find a place, I stormed into the artist coordination office at the Film City. But it was a bust. Ms. Jacobs knew my personality and would definitely ask me face to face, so she dodged out early. The Film City was bustling, but there wasn't a single production team I could land with. My acquaintance, Keith Adams, knew my situation and couldn't bear to see me downcast. He secretly handed me a job listing. It was a casting call for a movie titled Foggy Surface. Directed by Vincent Watson, a rising director said to have a decent background, and most people in the industry would give him face. I instantly perked up. Vincent Watson's productions generally didn't casually fire people. Even if Jeremy Lopez went personally, Vincent Watson might not give him face either. What a great opportunity. I have to seize it, right? I quietly thanked Keith Adams and headed to the registration point while clutching the notice. Fortunately, as an actor, I'm used to carrying my resume with me. With years of experience in the industry, I smoothly entered the audition for the supporting roles of Foggy Surface. The production team of Foggy Surface is strong, and the main roles are basically set. This recruitment is for supporting roles or extras who will appear around the main characters. Once this movie is completed, it will be sent abroad for awards, making this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all participating actors. So I must grab this chance. During the audition, the assistant handed out several pages of the script to everyone, and we would randomly perform based on the director's requirements. Typically, each person receives a randomly assigned scene, which may not necessarily be a segment from the movie. But after pondering the concept poster and the scenes being set up by the crew, I was convinced this was the original script of the film. I felt a sense of certainty in my heart. Just as the actors were rehearsing their lines, a stir suddenly arose in the crowd. It was Loretta Campbell, strutting in with a group of people. Why is she here? Maybe she's here to compete for a role too. Is she really going to join us in the audition? Come on, are you stupid? It's obvious she's just here to make an appearance. Two young actors whispered nearby. I hid at the back of the crowd, hoping she wouldn't notice me. Then I realized I was overthinking it. Loretta walked in like a proud peacock, towering in high heels, wearing dark sunglasses, as if no one in the room was worth her attention, striding right past us. However, her entrance didn't capture much of our attention, because soon the audition began. According to the draw, I was number 38, which was relatively towards the back. After the first 10 went in, a young assistant approached me. Jameson Harris, Keith is looking for you. For a moment, all eyes in the room were on me, but suddenly, they all seemed to lose interest and turned away. They thought I had an inside connection, but I clearly saw the sarcasm in their eyes. They probably thought I was just another clueless person trying to take on Vincent Watson. I smiled wryly and followed the assistant out of the waiting area. The Keith they mentioned was likely Keith Adams. When I was mingling in the Film City, Keith had looked out for us since we were from the same place. With Loretta trying to sideline me, he probably felt sorry for me. I thought he must have some other news to share. I followed the assistant through a maze of corridors until we reached a hidden corner of the studio building. He opened a door and said to me, "You wait inside for a moment. Keith will come after avoiding her line of sight. It's obvious who she is. Could it be that she has gained such power in the Film City after getting close to Jeremy Lopez?" I thanked the assistant and hesitated. It's almost my turn. If it's not something important, if Loretta really has such influence, then Keith wouldn't need to clash with her on my account. A strange smile crossed the assistant's face. Just wait patiently. As soon as he finished speaking, he shut the door behind him. Time ticked by, and I anxiously watched the hands of my watch. There was no movement outside. It felt as if no one would ever come here. When I recalled the mocking and disdainful expression of the assistant, I instinctively reached for the door handle. The door wouldn't budge. The door to this room had been locked from the outside. As time flew by, I, who should have been waiting in the audition hall, was deliberately locked in an unknown room. I cursed the person responsible under my breath while desperately searching for a way out. The audition for Foggy Surface was in full swing, with every person exiting the audition room showing different expressions of joy, sadness, or excitement. "Ms. Campbell, it's done." The unfamiliar assistant approached Loretta. She nodded and smiled slightly at her manager, who had turned to look back at her. In fact, she had seen Jameson Harris in the crowd as soon as she entered. The reason was simple. Jameson's height and looks were truly outstanding. If she hadn't taken the opportunity to cling to Jeremy and forcibly changed several supporting roles' genders, it might have been him gaining instant fame now. People often say Jameson is a hidden gem, destined to shine at some point. Thus, she absolutely could not allow Jameson to stand on that stage. She must not let him expose his situation. Next up, contestant number 38. The stage manager continued calling names, but no one answered from the waiting hall outside. 38. Is contestant 38 here? A triumphant look appeared on Loretta's face. What's going on? Is there really someone absent in this situation? Seriously, if you don't give the director and producer any face, does this person not want to work in the industry anymore? The actors in the waiting room whispered to each other once again. Loretta Campbell spoke proudly. Why not just postpone it? The director and producer are quite busy, and they still need to select important supporting roles later. Wait! I limped into the waiting room, stumbling awkwardly. Number 38 is here. I raised my hand and waved at the visibly shocked Loretta. How did you end up like this? The stage manager frowned as he looked at my disheveled state. I just went to organize my thoughts based on my own guesses. Maybe it will help during the performance later. I explained briefly. The story of Foggy Surface is set in the chaotic period at the end of the Republic. The few pages of the script in my hand contain dialogues amidst the gunfire, and my disheveled appearance allows for a better immersion into the character's plight. Besides, I had just jumped down from that room's window along the water pipe, so being in this state is only natural. Stage manager. This person is late. Loretta was quite displeased and even wanted to incite the stage manager to skip my number. I rubbed my palms over the torn skin and said hesitantly, "Ms. Campbell, can we not be so ruthless, considering we are from the same hometown?" I knew what she was afraid of, so I boldly laid my cards on the table. The more she wanted to distance herself, the more I needed to entangle myself with her, ideally letting everyone in the industry know about our past relationship. Hometown friends, even childhood sweethearts. It would be best if everyone thought she was connected to me. Before she makes her next move, she should weigh the consequences of backstabbing me and who she would have to face afterward. Sure enough, Loretta's face turned as dark as a pot bottom. She had never considered that I would shamelessly want to make our relationship public. Being called doesn't count as late. Come in. Just as we were at a standoff, someone in the examination room spoke up. It was Vincent Watson, the director of Foggy Surface, and beside him sat a stunningly beautiful woman. The two of them were watching me with great interest. She looked a bit familiar, but I dared not stare too long. Loretta didn't dare offend Vincent Watson, the head director, and sat down quietly. "You drew the third scene. You can start now." After the stage manager announced the draw results, he left the stage. I took a deep breath and instantly immersed myself in the character. Amidst the chaos, I limped around, searching for something in the wreckage. Suddenly, my body trembled as if I saw something and froze in place. It was a piece of torn cloth, stained with bits of flesh and blood. In the next instant, my face went cold, and I collapsed to the ground, motionless. The lights dimmed. There were no cries, no screams, only silent tears and fainting from sorrow. I don't know how long it took, but the stage manager came over and nudged me. "All right, next, number 39. I shook off the emptiness from my mind and got up from the ground. In the audience, a pair of slender hands reached out. "You performed well. It was immersive." I followed the hands to see the woman who had just been sitting next to Vincent. Now I recognized her. She was the bad woman who mistook me for a duck that day, but Loretta in the audience was still glaring at me. Thank you. I gently took her hand and jumped off the stage. You're injured. Should I help you treat it? The woman said succinctly with an invitation. My mind was racing and I resolutely replied, Sure. Desire is natural. You rely on looks and I can rely on mine too. Wanna crush me? Not so fast. After taking the risky leap from the third floor and walking into the examination room under various scrutinizing gazes, I had already made up my mind. Loretta could easily sever our years of ties for her star dream and even get close to Director Lopez, who was old enough to be her father. So why shouldn't I fight back? I want her to regret kicking me out, to regret trying to eradicate me. With that thought in mind, I simply smiled and grinned at the woman who was looking at my injury. The woman looked at me with interest. I'm just being kind. Don't blame me for it. $200. Just when I was all fired up to redeem myself, I was doused with a bucket of cold water and instantly sobered up. I recalled our not-so-pleasant interactions. The $200 I left was indeed meant to pay her back for her humiliation, but also successfully made her remember me. Kid, if you want to make it in this industry, you can't just rely on connections. The woman leaned back, her languid voice irresistibly charming. You have talent. Don't think about taking shortcuts. If the foundation isn't solid, the ground will shake. The higher you climb, the faster you fall. My face flushed red. She could see right through all my thoughts. The embarrassment made me unable to lift my head until the assistant came to inform me to enter the next round of competition. Do you know the ancestor of the Saunders family? The assistant had a gossipy look, earnestly saying, Then you'll definitely get a role, no matter how big or small. Saunders? I don't know her, but my denial seemed to have no effect on the assistant. She started to inform me about the status of the Saunders family in the capital and the key figures currently active in the business circle, including the legendary tales of that woman. By the time I was waiting in the examination room, I realized Loretta had left at some point, and the woman with the surname Saunders had also disappeared. She was like a captivating spirit in the Lan Rua temple, coming and going, leaving behind only the legend of my backdoor entry. After several rounds of selection, I ended up staying in the crew, landing a role as the male fourth lead just right in the middle. The day before filming began, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. The movie hasn't even started filming, and you're already famous. It was a familiar lazy voice, laced with a hint of drunkenness. But I was puzzled and didn't understand what she meant. She laughed on the other end of the line. Looks like you haven't seen the trending topics. I thought it was bad news and quickly opened my phone. Ms. Campbell is beautiful and kind-hearted. One must repay the kindness of helping hands. The bond of leaving the mountain village together. Several trending topics dominated the list. Loretta Campbell had landed the female second lead role in Fog Surface. Before filming began, she had used a few ambiguous interviews to prematurely reveal our connection as villagers. She even crafted a persona of being happy to support newcomers, making it seem like she was the one who helped me secure the role I had worked so hard to get through multiple auditions. She was clever, planting the seed in the public's mind that our relationship was limited to being fellow villagers. No matter how I later recounted our past together, the public would view it as malicious clinging and an ungrateful villain. I didn't want to enter the industry only to fail before I started. Will there be interviews arranged during the opening ceremony? Given her relationship with Vincent Watson, she was at least an investor, so I asked without hesitation. What do you want to do? Honestly speaking, I replied earnestly. There was a moment of silence on the other end, with a few suspicious snoring sounds. I suspiciously turned on my screen to check. We were still on the call. Hello. I took a sip of water. You are indeed special. Considering you're $200, how about I just take you under my wing? Her muffled voice clearly revealed her intention to take me on. Pfft! I was shocked. A mouthful of water turned into an impromptu fountain. Weren't you the one who told me you need talent to stand firm in this industry? Damn. I almost believed this jerk. Well, sometimes there's nothing wrong with eating soft rice. She shamelessly continued. "You're insane." I decisively hung up the phone. At the opening ceremony, Loretta Campbell was dressed exquisitely, subtly trying to overshadow the female lead. And during the subsequent press conference, someone indeed asked about the trending topic surrounding support. I vaguely heard someone mention it. Loretta Campbell dramatically covered her mouth. I and Jameson are indeed from the same place, but he got through the auditions fair and square. Oh! Her words, which seemed to cover up, only solidified the rumors of my backdoor entry. I took the microphone from a struggling young reporter beside me, cleared my throat, and immediately drew everyone's attention. "Ms. Campbell must be forgetful. You've blocked and deleted me for quite some time. Where's the support in that?" I pulled out my phone, revealing the red exclamation mark I got after questioning her last time. Even if we take a step back, if people could just be inserted into Vincent's film, then I have to question whether Ms. Campbell's role was also obtained through backdoor entry. After all, the female second lead's hair and makeup are more exquisite than the female lead's. During filming, the script pages flew everywhere, and Ms. Campbell is indeed leaning against a big tree. Before filming started, Vincent Watson had been busy, and Fog Surface had already been shot for a few days by the assistant director. Loretta Campbell seized every opportunity to add lines and scenes, even pressuring the female lead for makeup. The crew had long been grumbling about it. When Vincent Watson made his first appearance, he shot me a glance, his expression chilly, and he said nothing. It's strange. Given Vincent's nature, he should have called for a halt and started an investigation by now. Has he changed? Loretta Campbell's face turned pale, and the crew quickly pulled the reporter away, leaving her no chance to say anything further. "You really are impressive. You made our crew trend on the first day of filming." Taking advantage of the transition, Loretta stood in front of me. "Even bad publicity is still publicity. You should thank me." I gave her no face. "Just wait and see." Vincent was not far away, arms crossed, watching us. She dared not lash out and left after making her threat. Feeling guilty under Vincent's gaze, I lowered my head and slipped away. Soon, I would find out what Loretta Campbell's "just wait and see" meant. On the last day of the first week, after filming wrapped, the crew informed me about a dinner gathering tonight. Besides a few main actors, Vincent had also invited me. Without an agent or assistant, I was directly taken to the hotel by the cruise driver. When I arrived, not everyone was there yet. The dishes hadn't been served, and there were still plenty of empty seats at the round table. Tonight, the producer will be bringing along the sponsors, and some heavyweight figures will also be attending. The assistant sitting next to me looked familiar. Seeing my confusion, she quickly explained. "Hello, I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last time. I'm the screenwriter Tamara Shudson." The assistant extended her hand. It turned out that the person who explained the character relationships to me last time was actually the screenwriter of The Mist. However, I heard that tonight is a special apology gathering. Tamara's eyes showed a hint of sympathy. An apology gathering? A bad feeling began to creep into my heart, and my eyelids started to twitch for no reason. When Loretta Campbell appeared at the box door, linking arms with Director Lopez, my eyelids twitched even more. Seeing the smug expression on her face, radiant with joy, my heart plummeted into an ice cellar. My bad intuition was always spot on. Sure enough, the moment we sat down, Loretta turned to me and said, "For this apology gathering, if you sincerely apologize to me, I might forgive you." I couldn't help but retort, "My girlfriend doesn't like me flirting with just anyone." Loretta's face turned extremely ugly, but in the next moment, she pitifully shook Director Lopez's arm. "Look, he's insulting me in front of everyone." Her voice was sharp, twisting around, nearly making me sick. I felt ashamed for not recognizing her true nature before. Seeing us like this, there were plenty of onlookers who were eager for the drama, and soon someone asked, "Who is your girlfriend?" I blinked and recalled the rumors I had heard about the Saunders family, and without hesitation, I blurted out a name, "Narcissa Saunders." The room fell silent. After hearing the name, everyone exchanged glances, looking like they wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. Loretta sneered. Say that again. Who is your girlfriend? Narcissa Saunders. Narcissa Saunders. I repeated each word clearly. Did you hear me? From the partition in the room, a woman's voice chimed in softly. Narcissa. Oh no, this is bad. Why didn't anyone tell me that Miss Saunders was right here in the room? I stiffly turned my head and coincidentally saw Vincent Watson passing by Narcissa. His smile was barely contained. Tamara's face also wore an excited yet twisted expression, her big eyes darting back and forth between me and Vincent. Loretta burst into laughter. Looks like the bluff has been called. Miss Saunders, this person is misusing your boyfriend's name to insult the actors of The Mist in public. The second half of her sentence was directed at Narcissa. To ensure the filming goes smoothly in the future, such a person is not suitable to stay in the crew. She once again linked arms with Director Lopez, leaning against him affectionately. As she spoke, Narcissa had already taken her seat next to Vincent, right at the main table with an empty spot beside her. She didn't acknowledge Loretta but instead looked over at me. What's the matter? Do you want me to invite you over? The moment Loretta's previously cheerful face turned pale. Seeing the situation, Director Lopez quickly pulled her hand away. Is she helping me? My body acted faster than my brain. Before my mind could catch up, I found myself sitting obediently next to Narcissa. Everyone in the room, being sharp, noticed that Narcissa had acknowledged our relationship, and they all raised their glasses to apologize to me. Oh, so you're Ms. Saunders' boyfriend. Look at that. Almost caused a disaster. Yes, indeed. She should be punished. Director Lopez stood up, smiling apologetically, and nudged Loretta, signaling her to apologize. Loretta didn't recognize the mountain's height and offended Ms. Saunders' boyfriend. I'll have her apologize to you. Loretta was reluctant, mumbling something as she raised a glass towards me. What did you say? I can't hear you. I was nearly rolling my eyes to the back of my head. For this apology gathering, if you sincerely apologize to me, I might forgive you. I returned Loretta's words verbatim. Don't go too far. Loretta's eyes turned red with anger, and with a bang, she slammed her glass down on the table, pointing at my nose as if to scold me. Look at her, sister. I mimicked her and shook Narcissa's arm, leaning closer. She always bullies me like this. My tone was melodramatic, and this time I didn't feel like throwing up. I wanted to laugh. Watching Loretta's defeated expression, I could hardly contain my laughter. Loretta was dumbfounded. Not just her, everyone present was stunned. Vincent burst out laughing, breaking the tension. As you said, he really is quite interesting. I was so immersed in my act that I almost forgot to check Narcissa's expression. Fortunately, she didn't show any signs of displeasure. The gathering isn't just for you to watch the show. Narcissa shot Vincent a cool glance. Vincent cleared his throat. Director Lopez, I agree to let you bring him into the crew, but it's really her fault for not being capable. You also saw it. To ensure the filming goes smoothly in the future, such a person is not suitable to stay in the crew. Under the dual pressure of Vincent Watson and Narcissa Saunders, Director Lopez was sweating profusely. Although Director Lopez was already a somewhat well-known director, he still couldn't compare to someone like Vincent Watson, a powerful director with a strong background, or the commercial genius Narcissa Saunders. Ms. Campbell's face could no longer be described as merely pale. Being directly kicked out of the crew by Vincent Watson, it was easy to imagine how difficult it would be for her to find another role afterward. After all, who would dare to hire an actress carrying an unknown bomb? She was half dragged, half pulled away from the private room by Director Lopez. With the annoying Ms. Campbell gone, the atmosphere of the crew's banquet became harmonious. Amid the clinking of glasses, I glanced at Narcissa Saunders several times and noticed a smile permanently gracing her lips. After the banquet, I discreetly got into the car with Narcissa. She seemed to have drunk too much and looked quite tired, resting her head against the car window and dozing off. The driver didn't ask many questions and drove straight back to her residential complex. I didn't dare to move her and signaled the driver to turn up the heating, sitting in the car and waiting for her to wake up. It wasn't until my phone battery was almost dead that Narcissa finally stirred, frowning as she woke up. "You didn't leave?" She seemed surprised that I was still here. "I'm a bit tired since I haven't adjusted to the time difference." This statement was probably my way of explaining why I had fallen asleep. "What time is it?" She stretched out her hand to check her watch. You helped me today and I want to repay you." The inner struggle had ended. It was better to let her decide my fate. She paused, understanding my implication, and looked at me in disbelief. "Are you sick or am I sick?" She seemed irritated and opened the door, kicking me out. "Get out, get out. You're so annoying to look at." I really flew back because I had nothing better to do. "Fine, I got it." On the day she boldly said she would support me, she must have been drunk again. The news of the second female lead being replaced in Misty Surface trended the next day. However, the replacement actress arrived so quickly that I suspected Vincent Watson had prepared for this long ago. Vincent was indeed quite skilled as a director. I, a mere male supporting character, learned a lot under his guidance. He showed me unspoken care, which included but was not limited to frequently calling cut and not allowing the use of a stunt double, making me perform all the high-difficulty scenes myself. Even the background actors in the crew expressed sympathy for me. "Did you see? Even if you got in through the back door to Vincent's film, there's no good outcome. But he never complains or whines. Maybe there's indeed some real talent there. That Miss Campbell was fired, so it makes no sense for the people she brought to stay. Could it be fake? Not sure. Let's wait and see." Behind my silent hard work, the background actors and various stand-ins clarified the rumors of me getting in through the back door. Seeing the trending topic, I finally understood Vincent Watson's good intentions. In the quiet moments after a late-night shoot, I expressed my gratitude to him. "Well, Narcissa never makes mistakes when she sets her sights on something. I trust you, and it's worth it for us to set a trap to teach that woman a lesson." "Set a trap?" I was surprised. "You don't think the events at the banquet were coincidental, do you?" Now it was Vincent's turn to be astonished. "Although you should learn the truth about your situation from Narcissa, as a friend, I still need to speak up for her." Vincent solemnly patted my shoulder. "Narcissa has been looking for you for a long time and has put a lot of thought into this. She flew back from abroad just to support you. Young man, you must cherish this." "Looking for me?" I caught the keyword but was even more confused. "Have we met before?" Vincent had a defeated expression. 10 years ago, by the river. Didn't you save a little girl who was about to jump in?" "Oh, right." I was taken aback. That chubby girl was her? Could it be a case of love at first sight, destined to be together? "Not quite." Vincent waved his hand. "I knew it didn't look like it at all." I sighed in relief. "After you saved her, you rushed home to catch loaches, leaving the chubby girl with a passerby." Vincent patiently explained. "You ran off after saving her, and the chubby girl wouldn't give up, causing a scene with the passerby and throwing her competition portfolio into the water." Ugh! A sense of foreboding rose in my heart again. That person was so angry that they vowed to find you and make you take responsibility. Vincent wore a somewhat enigmatic smile on his face. "So?" A chill ran down my back. "So now I've found you." Narcissa's cold voice rang out behind me. Damn! After filming Misty Surface, I was pinned down by Narcissa at her home, painstakingly gluing back together the ruined portfolio. She really held a grudge. 10 years ago, the ruined album was kept well by her, just so one day I could personally piece it back together to repay her for missing out on the grand prize. "When did you recognize me?" I was very curious. $200. She was busy looking at the contract, not even lifting her head, concise and to the point. "Is my name on that $200? I was shocked. She looked up from her folder and shot me a glance. But I was sure it was a big eye roll. The next day, I checked the hotel records and the surveillance. Her tone was quite unfriendly. Oh, I thought she had some superpower to recognize money. But she paused, then looked up at me and asked, "Why did you take me away from the bar that day? Were you picking up bodies?" I replied irritably, "There were several big guys staring at you. I thought it was dangerous for a drunk girl like you, so I took you away from there." Dangerous? She seemed to laugh in anger. "You really still like to be a hero, don't you?" I lifted my chin proudly. "Of course." She slammed the folder on the table. "Is there a possibility," she paused, "that those big guys were my bodyguards?" Damn. After the editing of Foggy Surface was completed, Narcissa Saunders and I were invited to be among the first audience to watch the screening. During the screening, Narcissa pulled on my sleeve and cried loudly. It was the first time I saw the sentimental and tender side of the strong woman. Narcissa. Although she wouldn't admit it, Vincent Watson sent the film abroad for an exhibition and won a grand prize. As the male number 4, I also rose to fame, receiving numerous offers and starting a non-stop schedule. Vincent signed me with his and Narcissa's entertainment company, also providing me with a manager, assistant, and driver, and established a studio. However, he and Narcissa believed that, in the glamorous world of entertainment, taking steady and solid steps was the hard truth. So under Narcissa's guidance, I started from a supporting role, constantly challenging new types of characters, never staying in my comfort zone. Narcissa said that to expand one's acting path, one must continuously challenge their limits. Acting and doing business are really not much different. When she said this, I had already been with her, in the serious boyfriend role headed towards marriage. Rumors about us circulated both inside and outside the industry, especially after Loretta Campbell stepped back. The incidents from the dinner table back then were brought up multiple times. Yet I did not bear the stigma of taking shortcuts or being a resource player. The reason was simple. I had the strength to obtain all my roles. I also had the capability to perfectly portray the characters I got. I was no longer the leftover actor who won awards by following excellent works. Instead, I was a capable actor who could get nominated for and even win awards based on my own works. The year I won Best Actor, I proposed to Narcissa. On the wedding day, she invited that chubby girl from back then to be the witness. She said, "You owe me, and you have to repay it with a lifetime." I replied, "I owe you, and I will repay it with a lifetime." Extra. Narcissa's perspective. When I woke up from a hangover, I saw the $200 on the bedside table and was furious. The bodyguards knew I was sleeping in my own hotel, so they didn't follow me. I grabbed the hotel manager and personally checked the records and surveillance. Jameson Harris? It's him again. That hero. The one who ruined my painstakingly collected inspiration for the competition. He had been struggling in the film industry in Beijing, but I heard he had recently been badly suppressed by his ex-girlfriend, which piqued my interest. My childhood friend Vincent Watson's crew just happened to be auditioning actors, and he was conveniently on the list of candidates. I followed Vincent to the audition site. He didn't disappoint me. He appeared all disheveled and pitiful but performed quite well. At least Vincent said it was okay, barely usable. His ex-girlfriend was a troublesome character, colluding with director Lopez, trying to keep Jameson Harris from rising again. My people, only I can move. Vincent had long been unhappy with director Lopez trying to push people on him because of his seniority. We clicked and set up a scheme to hit 3 birds with 1 stone. However, unfortunately, I had a meeting that dragged on, delaying my schedule. When I rushed back, still adjusting to the time difference, I took a short nap in the private room. During that nap, I was not disappointed. I happened to overhear Jameson Harris's astonishing remarks. Vincent almost laughed himself silly, while I remained quite composed, though my heart raced like a drum. When Jameson leaned over, playfully tugging at my arm, my heart skipped a beat. Naturally, I supported him. However, Vincent's little scriptwriter thought he was Vincent's crush and became obsessed with their pairing. His acting skills continuously improved under Vincent's training. He learned about my connection with him through Vincent, and I didn't hide it. After he wrapped up filming, I took him to help me piece together the album. Later on, I built a team for his studio, helping him officially break into the industry. I didn't dare to reveal my feelings, but it seemed like we naturally ended up together. I never asked him when he started to have feelings for me. Until the day after the wedding, he asked me, "Why didn't you say you would support me later? Are you sick?" "Am I sick?" I scoffed at him. "But you clearly suggested I could live off you during that phone call. How can you say it and then act like it doesn't matter?" He looked quite wronged, lowering his head a bit. "I've waited for you for a long time." He was being so spoiled again. When was that?" I gasped and pushed him lightly. He propped himself up on his arms above me, beads of sweat from his hair dripping onto my cheek. "The day before the opening ceremony, you were drinking." He nodded heavily. I was drinking. When I drink, I say nonsense. Drinking makes you bolder." I began to plead in a hoarse voice. Don't. But I take it seriously. Then you can be bolder tonight." He touched my cheek. "You were drinking.